Hello everyone and welcome to Spoiler Warning featuring myself, Tom Colohue. We will be diving into wrestling news on this one. We have Becky Lynch doing double duty. We have the future of Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania. We have a segment which have punned Blissing in action. More on that story later. Cena farewell tour. The globalization strategy continues as previously reported. Jey Uso and Roman Reigns, still some drama coming from that one. And the WrestleVotes report on the Hall of Fame build starting tonight. We are live on both YouTube and on Twitch. If you are watching on YouTube, please do remember to hit that like button. And if you are watching entirely on Twitch, it might be time to consider popping over to YouTube because we have a lot of very good stuff happening on the YouTube side, including daily wrestling rumours shorts and a report on Alexa Bliss from Monday that certainly has got people talking about it. In the meantime, hello everyone. Daz is first up saying, big up Tom, how are things going with you today? Going okay. I can't necessarily say good. I have a pretty big adrenaline rush and all I can really say about it is that kids and parenting is not always the easiest thing in the world. John Gillis says, according to PWInsider, Ronda is out, I read, for Mania. I've not seen that report myself, John. Who else has seen that report? Mick says, hi Tom, hope you feel very good today. 2 questions. Kofi is out of action because of an arm injury, right? As Ed quite rightly says just underneath, and thank you Ed, it is a leg injury and that has been confirmed by Kofi Kingston. Also says, will Ronda still appear at WrestleMania? That is our top piece of news today. Spiderball says, hello Tom, what's next for the women's tag team titles? That is also our top piece of news today. Rocky says, Tom, I have a question. Do you think LA Knight is really going to face Stone Cold? No. Spiderboss says, see how WWE treats the women's tag team titles is sad. And then says, I wonder when we could see Rey Mysterio fight Dominic. WrestleMania, mate. I would think that's pretty clear about their intention there. It seems to be exactly where they're heading. Jonathan Rodriguez says, what's up everyone? Feeling a little bit oozy tonight. It'll certainly be an oozy show on this week's SmackDown. Christoph says, hi Tom. Hello Christoph. Dark Society says, hi Tom, how are you doing? Doing okay mate, doing okay. Hope everyone's doing good. I'm up and down a little bit, but I hope everyone's doing good. Carmelina also says, hi Tom. Hello Carmelina. Jordan Darlow says, good evening Tom and Jack. Good evening. And Jaden also says, hey Tom. Hello Jaden. Mick says, how elegant today, man. Fits great. I'm a stepdad, Mick. I'm a stepdad fairly recently, about a year and a half. And I am not used to caring this much, and at times it kind of sucks. 23 Fresh says, happy Friday. Is Taya going to AEW? Maybe. There's quite a bit of interest in her. I don't believe there's any from the WWE, if that's what you're asking. Spiderboss is asking if Ronda Rousey makes it to Mania 39. That will be our top piece of news. And Sean says, hello, Emperor Colohue of Blackpool. Emperor now. I've had an upgrade. Is it the shirt? He did the shirt, I say. Christoph says, Great Muta, first inducted into Hall of Fame, has just been announced. Thank you kindly, Christoph. And I imagine that came direct from the WWE. That I'm just going to have to scratch that particular part off there. Great. The hand was, of course, forced by the release of information by WrestleVotes. There would be more on that later on in our 6th piece of news, but if the information has already come out, then not really that big an announcement. Dimitar says, hello everyone. Hello Dimitar. Ken says, Bliss certainly seems to be trending towards leaving WWE in March 2024. What do you think, Tom? Well, Ken, I've uploaded a video about this exact thing on Monday, going into great detail about it, in detail which she has now herself confirmed on Twitter 4 days later. It's one of those things, Ken, where if that video popped up for you and you'd been able to watch it, you'd know way more than most people who right now are all over Twitter thinking they know what's going on. Camo says, I'm hoping SmackDown is good, and well wishes, Tom. Thank you, Camo. No Simon, no news on Liv Morgan. Spiderboss says, Jey Uso turning on Sami Zayn was awesome. Certainly did draw a lot of attention, and the WWE and Triple H in particular are very happy with it. Sean says, Alexa Bliss shut down a report by Meltzer that he talked about on Wrestling Observer. And Spiderboss saying Alexa Bliss posted on Twitter that she isn't on a hiatus and they know where to find her, which once again confirms exactly what I'd already reported. Eric says, now I'm confused. Are we doing Damage Control versus Trish, Lita and Becky, or are they defending their titles? More on that shortly. Thank you, Jonathan, for confirming it's a PWInsider report. Razar says, what's going on with the women's title build for WrestleMania? That will be our first piece of news today. I'm glad it's our first piece of news. It's certainly got people talking. Hector says it looks like Legado is back because tonight's Legado versus the Judgment Day. It looks like they are trying to turn them face after all. Hello, Noob. How are you? It was nice to see you in the Believe chat recently. I didn't speak myself, but I did notice you there. You will, of course, probably yourself think back to the days when myself and Rick Ucchino were trying to launch something like this together. And unfortunately, it didn't quite work out. I had to launch my own thing a couple of months later. Dark Society says, with Dave Meltzer saying Vince McMahon was in the gorilla position at Raw, seems like he's trying to slowly take back the throne. Not slowly, he has already taken back the throne. He is fully in control of the WWE. Fully. Joey says, hey Tom, looks like Saray is leaving WWE. Why were there no creative plans for her? Now, as I said a little while back as regards Saray, and I know you guys were asking about this, so I gave you the information as best I could. There were no creative plans for Saray. The WWE were a little disappointed with her. They weren't happy about the language barrier and the lack of effort made to fix it, and that's where we are now. Khalid says, Tom, is Trish going to turn heel? That will be our first piece of news. Traffic says, good afternoon, Tom and chat. As always, thanks for the news. Welcome, Traffic. Thank you for confirming. Christoph. No, Jaden, I do not play F1 on my PS4. Spider-Boss says, did WWE turn Santos Escobar babyface? Santos was babyface in his match with Dominic. As regards Santos Escobar, the thing that would keep him heel would have been Zelina Vega. They look like they're turning her face as well now, so there's quite a few different people who are in that position. Ghost says, the story about Great Muta has not been confirmed by WWE yet, so I guess time will tell if PWInsider is truly accurate on this one. Also, hi Tom and chat, hope everyone is doing well. Thank you, Ghost, and welcome to the show. Simon, I don't know anyone who hasn't already been announced on the show tonight. You know I don't get the rundown. Kelly says, I hope to see Bray Wyatt tonight. Do you think so? Yes, I do. And in fact, Bobby Lashley. Hector says, I wonder if this means Shinsuke will induct the Great Muta. Seems like a logical decision. It does. It very much does. Mr. Stumble says, whose mustache is better, yours or Vince's? Well, when it comes to mine, I shave it down pretty regularly. When it comes to Vince's, what the hell is that? Also, nobody actually knows what it looks like. It just looks strange. Backwards says, any update on Nick Aldis? Nothing at this point in time. To my knowledge, he is not signed with WWE or anyone else right now. Sean says, Saray's last match in WWE was in the 8/22/22 episode of NXT, where she was defeated by then NXT Women's Champion Mandy Rose, and that was the end of that storyline. They could not come up with another one for her. Peter Englefield, welcome to the show. Thank you for keeping your membership going for 3 months. I very much appreciate it. If anyone is interested in the channel memberships, there are 3 levels to it. We have the $1 a month option, which is only $12 a year and really does help the growth of the channel. We have the $5 a month option, which once again is $60 a month and is a real big help once again to the growth of the channel. It does give you access to certain members only videos. There is one on Sasha Banks quite recently. There is one on the WWE sale quite recently. So if you're interested in that stuff, by all means jump in. There will be more of those going forwards. Thank you also, Mick, for becoming a channel supporter as well. Very much appreciated. Those numbers are slowly going up, and it's almost a guarantee of at least some sort of income, which is very, very reassuring. And that's the sort of thing I can take to the bank and get a bigger mortgage. Whereas the donations, the ad revenue, I can't. The channel membership, I actually can prove as regular income, which means I can use it to get a bigger mortgage. So thank you. Simon says, buzzing about the Bullet Club attacking absolute Ricky Starks on AEW Dynamite Wednesday, starting the build for Forbidden Door 2. Kervin says, I hope WWE plan to have a tag team match between Santos Escobar, Rey Mysterio versus Dominic and Damian Priest. Well, I believe it is Legado versus Judgment Day tonight, so that will be telling. Peter says, hey, Sir Tom, I've emigrated to London for the weekend. You're in my neck of the woods. Hope you're having a great time. There's a lot of good stuff to see there. Carmelina says, I can't see Roman attacking Jay. What do you think? That will be our 5th piece of news. Ken Thompson says, who would you like to see in the Hall of Fame in 2023? China. My answer will pretty much always be the same for that. China deserves to be inducted into the Hall of Fame as a singles wrestler. Razar says, is WWE planning on giving talent like Zelina and Damian Priest big spots on the Puerto Rico show? I could see Zelina versus Rhea for the title. Yes, they are planning to push recognizable Puerto Rican stars, or at least those with Puerto Rican blood. We will be seeing more of them in the build to it. Damian Priest versus Cody certainly does strike an interesting bargain. Dark Society says, when do you think Vince McMahon will kick Triple H from creative? I don't. Eric says, Ruby's first heel promo was phenomenal. I haven't heard a lot of shut the F up chants, which is always a good sign. We are 10 minutes into the show, which means I am able to jump in and start with my first piece of news, and that is the top piece of news as regards Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey having some sort of encounter at the upcoming WrestleMania. Now, there are speculations out there that Ronda Rousey is not going to make WrestleMania, but from everything I've been told, she is going to make WrestleMania. It's just that she won't be used heavily in the match there. At this point in time, Becky Lynch has already been booked into a match alongside Trish Stratus and Lita to be going up against Damage Control, that being Bayley, Dakota Kai and Io Sky. That said, Becky Lynch could well do double duty, as of course, in addition, could Damage Control, leading into the match against Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler are still booked to be taking on the women's tag team champions at the moment. That is Becky Lynch and Lita. The intention seems to be to do double duty. Becky Lynch will be our double duty alongside Lita. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler will only be doing single duty, but will be leaving with the championships. The indication seems to be that they don't want to have Becky Lynch lose clean, but if she does double duty, they can then take the championships away from her by saying that she's already injured, and it will keep Ronda Rousey as firmly heel as it is possible to be. They don't want her to be kind of heel, they want her to be so heelish you hate her more than you hate anyone else. Becky Lynch currently being discussed to do double duty at WrestleMania, which would include a tag team championship match against Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. Joey says, do you know if any matches have been discussed for Backlash yet? A few of them have been, yes. A few of them have been locked in, but they're not planning to make them too open and too clear because they've got the whole betting commission thing happening at the moment. There will be more details on that after WrestleMania when I start to post the spoilers ahead of time. Khalid's excited for tonight's SmackDown watch party. Thank you, Khalid. Appreciate it. And Mick says, as regards the channel membership, long overdue. Thanks, Tom. Thank you, mate. Because I know you're out there publicising me. I know quite a few of you have found me on TikTok recently, which I appreciate. I am putting the daily Wrestling Rumours videos on TikTok as well. And the intention for that essentially is to try and grow on an additional platform, which I am doing. So at the moment, while subscribers and stuff have slowed down a little bit on YouTube, I can focus on other platforms, providing similar, if not the same content, and ultimately making it work for me in the long term. Spider-Boss says, are Chelsea Green and Carmella a tag team now, right? Well, if you've seen them wrestle as a tag team, yes, they're a tag team. We currently have 67 viewers and 21 likes. If you're able to, please remember to hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. We are currently on 1,000, still not used to this, 2,183 subscribers. Pardon me. And every little does help, so if you've not yet subscribed, please consider doing so. You'll get daily wrestling rumours straight into your inbox every single morning, outside of Sundays when that's not publicised. Pardon me again. On Cage Side Seats, you will get the latest details on Alexa Bliss and her contract status, and plenty more as well. Noob says, I'd like to see Asuka induct the Great Muta to the Hall of Fame because she does have the missed attack as part of her move list. If that's the case, then we should also be seeing a number of other people doing the exact same thing, including, for example, Tajiri. Simon, there are other things you can watch. That's absolutely fine. Michael says, hi, Tom. Hello, Michael. Spider-Boss says, WWE forgot to mention some women during their video about International Women's Day. For example, Sasha Banks, AJ Lee and Saraya. Well, to be fair, they would only publicise the women that they have. That makes more sense. Peter says, a bigger mortgage means a bigger cupboard for Connor. Yes, it does. I'll have a bigger office. And who doesn't want a bigger office? For me. Blue says, if it's true Becky is pulling double duty, that makes me happy. Neither match feels like the biggest deal, but Becky wrestling twice makes her feel like a big deal, and very much the plan at the moment is to make certain wrestlers feel bigger than they have. Becky Lynch being one of them. I think Bayley versus Trish certainly is a possibility for one of the nights, suggesting that we may get those matches on night one. Sean says, according to The Observer, John Cena will be available for WWE television over the next several weeks. Third piece of news, John Cena. SBM says, yes, China deserves her flowers. She was one of the superstars that made me start watching WWE. She had a huge impact on a hell of a lot of people. It's one of those where I feel if I didn't watch someone like China while I grew up watching wrestling, there might be a lot more toxic masculinity in me. I don't know, and I'm not willing to take the bet. China was a wonderful person, and a wonderful thing. Mr. Stumble says, will The Rock show up at the Cameo Mania? No. Simon says, Becky versus Ronda, the match of the world fans no one wants to see, the wrestlers don't want to see, but won't go away at all. As a tag team championship match, I feel Shayna Baszler gets the big win there, so I'll absolutely take it. Noob says, on AEW Dynamite, Jade Cargill called out any female wrestlers from Canada, and of course Taya Valkyrie might be on her way out of Impact Wrestling. Killer Kelly might take her place against the Coven. Joey says, is Vince the one who keeps pushing for the Ronda and Becky match at Mania? Yes, he is. It was his original plan before he was removed from creative, and very much seems like it's still his plan, and that's a suggestion that he is making regularly. Spider-Boss says, to be honest, I don't see Damage Control winning. They have lost in the last pay-per-views. I don't see them winning either. Mr. Stumble says, I'll never hate Ronda more than I hate ex-con Dom. He killed a man in prison. And isn't that the worst? Isn't that the worst? Thank you, Khalid. Appreciate that. Goat says, I don't love the idea of double duty for Becky. There has been no consistent build for Ronda and Shayna or any woman from SmackDown other than for Charlotte to be involved in WrestleMania, and I just think the time for any iteration of a Becky-Ronda face-off has passed a long time ago. The beginning of this particular push towards this match was supposed to be happening on this Monday night's Raw. It definitely suggests a strong pivot, and it's very difficult to say what this match is going to be, which is why I'm regularly asking the question for updates. Kevin, I've spoken about Liv Morgan, Raquel before, and the fact that they could well be added still to this tag team championship match. Becky Lynch doing double duty would actually create opportunities for someone like Liv Morgan. Backwards says, do you think Roman will get a rematch at Backlash, or does he go for his break right after Mania? Personally, I think he'll be going for his break straight after WrestleMania, and will only return around SummerSlam time. Traffic says, been watching some of your news posts through Twitter for some reason. I just don't get notifications for you half the time on here. Have you hit the bell, mate? Beyond that, I'm really not sure what to recommend, unfortunately. For those who haven't, if you have subscribed, please do consider hitting the bell. The videos that I post are usually 5-6 minutes, so not a big part of your day, and you can listen to them on the go because you don't really need to be watching when you're listening. So hopefully that's something you guys enjoy. Ken Thompson says the Q&A was awesome on Wednesday. Thank you, Ken. Appreciate that, mate. I'm glad so many people enjoyed it. We will be doing more in the build to WrestleMania. Simon believes that Saray unfortunately came into NXT at the right time between the change from Black and Gold. You mean the wrong time? From Black and Gold, work rate era, NXT 2.0 character based. Unfortunately, Saray suffered from this. She suffered from a lot more, but it was backstage. Jordan says, Tom, which match are you most looking forward to seeing at WrestleMania? I think it's the Intercontinental Championship match, particularly if we get both Drew McIntyre and Sheamus challenging. But I also have a lot of love in my heart, for the idea of this tag team championship match between Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus the Usos as well. Christoph could not hate Ronda. Hector says, speaking on the WWE betting situation, it's so odd because it's going to put creative in a bad spot because the results are 3 months in advance. If someone gets hot or injured, it could be chaos. It absolutely could. The creative team would be booking the match finishes, but would not be able to know what they have booked. Simon says, no multi-women's tag team match. Again, I didn't say that. Spider-Boss says, I grew up watching China during her time working with Eddie Guerrero in 2000. Noob says, speaking of Chelsea Green, will there be a WrestleMania match for her against someone who WWE management might bring, whether it's someone from the roster or an NXT call-up or someone from the indies? No, and no. Joey says, do you know if there are any big plans for LA Knight this year after Mania? No. To my knowledge, they will continue to build him in the same way that they have been doing, but Mania has nothing to do with it. There is nothing major planned right now for LA Knight. Dom welcome says, what's up, Tom and chat? Don't forget to hit the like button. We have 5 words for you. You just made the list. I'll never not be into that. Chris Jericho just gets stuff over at times. Razar says, if you thought about streaming on TikTok Live, really popular, could maybe help your show grow even more. Certainly I have, and certainly that's something I'm considering. I worry about going too cross-platform at times, so I might do the Q&As on there. I could literally just prop up my phone right here in front of me on a little stand, and that could work for me. Hopefully, eventually, I'm able to go live on TikTok using something like a StreamYard section, but it might be something worth doing, even if it's just a spoiler warning recap. But there are only so many hours in the day, and as many of you may know, I kind of need to put some love into the Discord at the minute. I've been neglecting it. I haven't been doing a great job over there. Ken says, what is the plan with the Roxanne collapse angle? Odds. They are increasing the odds stacked against her, which she will then overcome. Thomas says, hi Tom, perhaps I've missed something here, but I thought Ronda was out of Mania as she had an injury. My reporting has been very clear on this one. Last I heard, Ronda Rousey was not out of WrestleMania. She will still be featured and will still be challenging for the Tag Team Championships. Steve Englund says, hi Tom, hope you're grand. Have a funny feeling the 5-way ends up in no contest and Gunter agrees to fight all 5 in a 6-pack challenge at Mania. What do you think? I don't love the idea. I don't love the idea because ultimately there is a level of purity in the idea of Gunter versus Drew McIntyre. There's also a level of purity in the idea of Gunter versus Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus. I don't necessarily think more is better. Jane says it's snowing in the Netherlands. We've had quite a lot of snow here today as well. I'd imagine you're just catching up on what we've had for the past couple of days, and it's not been too fun. Steve says, what's happening, Tom? Hope you're well. Very well, thank you, Steve. Welcome. Christoph says, if this double duty happens, I suggest they could put the tag title match on Saturday. Damage Control costing Becky and Lita the titles. Then they could have their payback on Sunday. What do you think? Personally, I would go with a clean win. I would literally have Shayna Baszler tap out Lita. That's what I'd do. Shayna Baszler should be getting built a lot more. Michael says Alexa Bliss does not seem like a happy camper, and thank you, Michael, because you give me the perfect pivot to our second piece of news, which I have labelled Blissing in Action. Sorry for the pun. If you guys are regular viewers of the videos on the YouTube section, we have free trees, we have shorts, we have videos, and we also have live streams. If you're a regular viewer of the videos, you will know that on Monday, I reported a contract update on the status of Alexa Bliss. So I thought I'd give you an update right now as to the situation if you've not already seen it. The situation with Alexa Bliss after the report from Dave Meltzer is very, very clear. The hiatus in question has come to an end. She requested some time off. She got it. She's waiting for contact from the WWE. Contact is not coming. One of the main reasons for this is that she is not currently planned to feature on the WrestleMania card, and the WWE, particularly Triple H, have made the decision not to feature strongly anyone who is unlikely to feature on the WrestleMania card. So unless she's able to make some phone calls and get herself onto that card, we are unlikely to see Alexa Bliss involved at WrestleMania, or indeed before WrestleMania. The most likely scenario is we see her after WrestleMania, and then, as regards the contract update, she may want a little more than the WWE have been giving her. Sean says, can we all agree that John Cena dismantled Austin Theory in this segment on Raw? Simon says, why is Triple H not using more women on the card? He uses as many women as he can, as long as he feels other people are getting the attention that they deserve as well. Quite a few women are being used, certainly on Raw in particular. There are a few people missing, and it's certainly not got parity, but there are a lot less women in the WWE and a lot less women's championships as well. Thank you, Traffic. Hogan says if this has already been addressed, I apologise, but is LA Knight getting that Cinnamon Toast Crunch match? The idea that the megastar is attracted to sponsors would be a neat little gimmick. That's a good show, actually. I like that idea just as a concept. The megastar being like, okay, well, I got all the sponsor matches and I want all the sponsor matches. I don't see LA Knight featuring on the WrestleMania card, though. 23 Fresh says, how is the morale in both the WWE and AEW? People I've spoken to have been pretty clear. Things are pretty good in the WWE right now. Pretty good. Not perfect. NXT is certainly leaving a bit to be desired. Particularly since Mandy Rose lost her job. But in AEW, it's a bit up and down, a bit hit and miss, and a few people don't know if they're still going to be there in the days to come. Thank you, Daz, for hitting the bell. I very much appreciate it. There are many little ways in which you can really support the channel. The notification bell is one of them. Once you've hit subscribe, you'll get the option to click the bell and decide what notifications you want. If you like, for example, the wrestling rumor, the daily wrestling rumors, all you've got to do is click that you want updates on shorts, because the plan is those will be the only shorts I post on YouTube. Failing that, they'll also be available on TikTok if you like TikTok as well. Khalid says, Tom, when do you see Kevin and Sammy start teaming again? The week before WrestleMania. Riley says, hi Tom, just seen you alive. Cool stream as always. Have you seen Rio from AEW deactivated her Twitter due to hate that is going on? It is not the first time this has happened for her, or indeed women in wrestling. People are shit. Spider-Boss says if Damage Control will continue losing, what is the point of keeping them together? Because if they lose, someone else is winning, and when someone else wins, that puts them over. Joey says, do you think Bryan Danielson could leave AEW next year when his contract is up? Yes. He also could not. Backward says, I think Sammy will pin Jay at Mania. That makes the most sense. I think Jimmy will be taking the pin because I believe there are plans for Jay afterwards, but more on that later. Dad says, who do you think Seth will face after Mania? Jay White? Is it maybe? Mick says, do you see an Andre the Giant Battle Royal? And if so, will it be on the SmackDown before again? Personally, I do think we are going to see the Battle Royals and they will be on the pre-shows. Joey says, I feel like there's a lot of last-minute changes being made to the Mania card. Is this Vince trying to make the changes? Not necessarily. Vince McMahon is certainly making suggestions and there are some changes happening, but a lot of it also comes down to the fact that they realised Bray Wyatt wasn't on the card. They were building towards a WrestleMania that they had planned before Bray Wyatt returned, and they decided to make a pivot. As regards the women's tag division, a large part of that is down to injuries, particularly of Dakota Kai and now Ronda Rousey as well. Hector says, I agree, Tom. We need Mamacita in the Hall of Fame. She wasn't just a great women's wrestler, but a great wrestler and human. Omega just shouts the word Tegan Knox. Thomas says, I'd love it to be where Sheamus and Drew can't be separated. They go to a time limit draw, then Gunter challenges both of them to a match at Mania. I'd love it as a concept. I'd absolutely love it. It'd be great. Ken says, do you agree with 2K giving Bianca Belair 95 and Chyna 88? Rating Chyna should be 95 and Bianca Belair should be 88. Yes, I do believe that the ratings that they've got right now are based on recency bias, and that's okay. That's okay. I don't want Hulk Hogan to always be the top wrestler. I don't. Spider-Boss says, when Becky and Lita face Ronda and Shayna, I would love to see Becky take the pin. I mean, lose clean doesn't hurt Becky. Personally, I think Shayna Baszler will make Lita tap. Hi, Anthony. How you doing? Michael says, is a mid-card women's singles title not going to happen? It doesn't seem so anymore, no. There was a lot of talk about it, a lot of talk about new tag team championships, but in the end, no championships have been updated or changed. Venom says, will we see the return of old pay-per-views such as No Mercy and Unforgiven? Seems very unlikely. A large part of that has to do with our fourth piece of news. Simon says, AEW are advertising a TBS title match, Jade versus a Canadian woman for Dynamite. Yes, they are. Jaden says, I want for both of the women's champions to get featured on the shows. They will be both featured at WrestleMania, and they are both actively being featured on Raw and on SmackDown. Steve says, any updates on Jay White? Certainly, there is a lot of interest from WWE. Conversations are ongoing. Personally, I think we'll be seeing Jay White arrive after WrestleMania. Ghost says, I could see Alexa deciding to step away from wrestling when her contract ends. Don't want to read too much into it, but as a psychologist, subtle brag, I know, I'm not sure she's been happy in WWE for quite a bit of time. There are certainly many suggestions from different people saying the same, and personally, I think it may be worth her exploring other options at this point. Christoph says, a few days ago, Alexa replied to someone saying, if I could make my own matches, I'd do it, but I don't write the shows. I don't think it could be any more clear than that. I wholeheartedly agree with that. It could not be any more clear. But if you do want it more clear, on Monday I released a video with a contract update on Alexa Bliss telling you exactly what the situation is. Ken says, it's music to my ears seeing Alexa Bliss not being used in WWE. I'm not a fan of Alexa Bliss. Well, you're entitled to that opinion, Ken. Anthony says, Tom, can you see WWE bring back the League of Nations? Nope. Eric says, for King of the Ring, I say Priest or Ludwig Kaiser. For Queen, Liv Morgan. Ludwig Kaiser's a great shout, Eric. A great shout. Ken says, did the NXT stars not like Rose getting released? Quite a lot of them, no they did not. No they did not. Gaza Slot says, I see the Miz talking smack on Miz TV at WrestleMania 39. That's when The Rock will appear. It will not be. That is not what's going to happen. 23 Fresh says, why is Saray leaving? Saray is leaving because she's been let go by the company. Her contract has come to an end. They are not interested in having her stick around. They are not happy with the return on their investment. Joey says, Elias's contract is going to be up in June of this year. Do you see him getting a new contract, or will Triple H let him leave? I see him being offered a new contract. I don't see him being offered much in the way of a push. He may choose to opt out based on that. Mixed choices would be LA Knight to win the Battle Royal, and LA Knight is LA Mania. LA pre-show. Khalid says, Tom, who should Bray feud with after Mania? Well, given that the next match he has will probably be in and around September time, whoever the hell ends up happening. Hector says, say Jay White does sign with WWE. Any chance we get his New Japan theme? Because it slaps. Possible, yes, they would need to have some negotiations for it, but WWE willing to pay the money to make stuff like that happen that they weren't willing to before. As we go to our third piece of news, please do remember to hit the like button. We have 72 viewers and 28 likes. So if you're able to jump in and hit like on that, I'd be very appreciative. Also, my YouTube is telling me an ad's about to run, which is a new feature. Apparently just adds in now. So bear with me. I won't start the news until the ad is finished. What I will do is answer a question on Twitch, which is always a wonderful thing. Spider-Boss says, I think if WWE ever has a women's singles mid-card title, they'll not book it well because they don't want another title. To be fair, they already have a mid-card women's championship. It is, of course, the tag team championships. And the tag team championships is more than any championships that they want. It's one too many, shall we say, that they actually want to use. Hopefully everyone's caught up now and we didn't lose anything too much on the ad. Hopefully people didn't rush away. Traffic says, agreed, China should have been in the Hall of Fame already. If certain people can't look past what she did after WWE, then they're stuck in the past. It's a new day and age. Yes, it is. It's a new day. Yes, it is. And honestly, if you can't get over her choices afterwards, choices which really didn't harm anyone in that particular concept, we all need to get over ourselves a little bit. We're living in the OnlyFans era now. So maybe move on. Venom says, will there be a SmackDown watch-along? Yes, there will. Will there be a Raw watch-along? No. Spider-Boss says, I think if WWE ever have a women's singles... I've already read that one. Christoph says, China is in the Hall of Fame. 1,000% agree. I know why she hasn't been inducted yet, but come on, Hunter, it's time to move on. I don't know why she hasn't been inducted yet. I don't believe a word of what he said about it. So our third piece of news. As you're a channel member, you don't get ads. And if you don't want ads, by all means become a channel member. $1. John Cena is currently embarking on what is considered to be a farewell tour. It is why he said goodbye to the town that he was in, and he will be doing that for every town he makes in the build-up to the Austin Theory match. John Cena is planning to pass the torch in a big way, and Austin Theory is going to be the person to benefit from it most. However, this is not a guarantee that John Cena is retiring. The intention, to my knowledge, is not a formal retirement, though he may have some sort of last-minute celebration and a walk away at WrestleMania. The plan, to my knowledge, will take him to at least WrestleMania 40, the big one, given his successes at WrestleManias like WrestleMania 20. It's a good bookmark and a bookend of everything going on there. That said, John Cena is a massive tease, as we know. I've seen him in high heels. So the intention is to make you think he's going to be going, to make the match even bigger, and to put over Austin Theory even more. Sean, chill out, mate. People want to ask about The Rock, they can ask about The Rock. That's okay. Ken says, I hope Tyler Bate gets called up to main roster ASAP. I do not. Thomas says, if Jay White debuts the Monday after WrestleMania, who do you have in feud with? Seth. I've said this a number of times and I stand by it. Ken says, will Adam Rose ever return to WWE or go to AEW? No. Traffic says, September for Bray's next match. Too real, Tom. Too real. It hurts. Anthony says, Tom, what are your thoughts on WWE doing a premium live event in Puerto Rico? Do you think it was a long time coming? Yes, it was. And in fact, I've already spoken about this, about them wanting to headline a show in South America. That is an area they're wanting to focus on. In China, that's an area they want to focus on. It was very interesting watching... in fact, this is my next piece of news, so I'm going to get into it. It was very interesting watching the Wrestling Observer reporting that they're pushing for an Australian premium live event, when that is something I've been reporting here for the past 3 weeks. The past 3 weeks. An Australian pay-per-view is coming. They are, of course, looking at one in China, as I mentioned. More events in Saudi Arabia. The premium live events will be going global, because consider that after WrestleMania, it will be Puerto Rico, Saudi Arabia, the UK, and then back in the US for SummerSlam. WWE is going worldwide, and a large part of this is that they want to increase ticket sales. What better way to increase ticket sales than by making your shows more rare in the United States? Hey Lou, Vince, how you doing? I appreciate that. You can be on Twitch, you can be on YouTube, whatever works for you. Venom says, what's going on with the Wyatt 6? Is that still happening? Bray Wyatt still wants it to happen, but not everyone's behind the idea. Simon says, you're in the chat for some Bray Wyatt's underwhelming, disappointing, lackluster WWE in-ring return comeback so far is at one match. That's obviously not enough for me. Spider-Boss says, when was the last time Becky lost clean? Could we see Becky lose clean once? I believe the last time Becky lost clean was against Bianca Belair at SummerSlam, I want to say, when she picked up the injury. Anthony says, Tom, let's be honest, I understand why WWE released Mandy Rose. The toy line with Mattel, I bet you Mattel came to WWE and said, release Mandy or you lose our contract. I wouldn't take that bet. The decision to fire her did come from up on high, but we're talking Nick Khan level. Backward says, I really don't get the Bray Wyatt stuff for Bobby Lashley. Lashley is clearly going to take the L, which will only damage him. Yes. Ken says, moving on. Moving on, Ken. We're just going to move on from that. Spider-Boss says, if you could bring any woman from AEW to WWE, who do you choose? Paige. Oh, no, I think Leuven has got it. Jade Cargill. That's a good shout. She would add so much to it. Rizal says, I didn't watch China growing up. I was too young, but saw the Legends documentary on her and it made me sad how WWE treated her after she left. She deserved better. Andrew Quinn says, hello, Tom. I do apologise for DMing you the other day while you were working. Also, Kane in a recent interview was asked about an in-ring return, potential retirement match. He said, never say never. No worries, Andrew. I communicated that I was at work. You heard me and stopped messaging. I very much appreciate that. That's a very clear, very open communication there. And I appreciate that you heard me when I said what I said. As regards Kane, he's always going to say never because he believes it wins him votes if he is on TV more often than not. He is constantly communicating with the WWE, asking to get on TV to help his campaign efforts and to help his electability. Funnily enough, right now, politics is a popularity contest, and someone who used to be on WWE TV is benefiting massively from it. Joey says, what pay-per-view would be in Australia? They would name it something based around Australia. Like, they're still working on it. There's nothing confirmed. Leuven says, Jade is a star in AEW. Imagine if WWE was behind her. Hector says, it's so ironic that Cena's career went from burying people to now putting people over. That's his way. He's the Superman has long gone. Counterfeit suggests a September pay-per-views in France. Counterfeit, can you tell me your source on that one? Blue says, when it comes to China, what I've gathered is the issues weren't tied to a post-WWE career, but what she said after she left, including threats. Nash brought this up on his YouTube channel. There is a lot of different things going on. I think at this point we should be able to move past it and grow up a little bit. Code says, have they just paused Wyatt's character development for the Lashley match until after WrestleMania? So Bray Wyatt had a long-term plan for his story, and then he was told, you're wrestling Bobby Lashley, write something new. There's not much you can really do about that. I may have to put that into a video. Christoph says, I love the idea of WWE going worldwide for PLE. Hopefully some days I'll find Belgium on the card. You're more likely to get an NXT Europe pay-per-view. After all, they're trying to dodge the whole Brexit thing. Venom says, after the Raw After Mania, how many other Raw watch-alongs will there be? Essentially, every time you ask Venom, it becomes less likely that there'll be any. So if you'd like to guarantee there's none, keep asking. SBM says, I'd love to see Jade versus Bianca. Dark Society says, with this whole Uncle Howdy gimmick starting to get old, I like Bray, but I wish Bo Dallas would unmask. How do they explain that, though? Like, genuine question. How do they explain the unmasking of Bo Dallas? And like, oh, yeah, that's not my uncle. That's my brother. What? Will says, it's funny how all these places WWE is going to are all the places Triple H wants NXT to be in. He's essentially taking his NXT plan and going bigger. Hi, Toxic, how you doing, mate? Sean says, maybe we get Super Showdown again in Australia. Ray says, I grew up watching China. She's one of the best women's wrestlers of all time. John Gillis says, people have to understand Roman is not losing at Mania. He is. You need to understand that he is. Code says, if there's an Australian pay-per-view, it's time for an Iconics return. There has been contact about that. Certainly, I think that would be the perfect time. Simon says, who do you see winning the Women's Battle Royal at Mania 39? I would give it to someone like Raquel Rodriguez. Personally, there are a number of people who certainly could benefit massively from that spot. Returning Aaliyah would be a good shout, I feel, as well. Steve says, WrestleMania is in Hollywood. If you could choose an alternative ending to any WrestleMania match moment, what would you choose and why? I would choose WrestleMania 33. I would still have Roman win, and I'd have The Undertaker actually retire. Khalid says, will Kane wrestle as his demon character? Probably not, no. Spider-Boss says, Cena making fun of Theory was too funny. And Go says, I'd love to see China be inducted on her own, but I just don't see it happening anytime soon. To me, it seems they only included China in DX's induction to honour her contribution to the group, rather than wrestling as a whole. Knowing how their relationship with her was prior to her death, every acknowledgement of her posthumously seems to act more as a generator for a cheap pop, rather than a true thanks for her work. You have explained that perfectly, Ghost. I'm always really glad when you can dive into things a little bit there. You explained that perfectly, and I wholeheartedly agree. Leuven says, why do people keep saying Roman isn't losing at Mania? It's an opinion, and they're entitled to it. SBM says, I think Bray's story is good. He just needs to speed it up a bit, a bunch. He does need to speed it up quite a lot. Traffic says, maybe Uncle Howdy is from down south. Brother's uncle's being said. No, mate. No, we're not doing that. Blue says, Tom, any word on if there'll be a pay-per-view Labour Day weekend this year, like Clash at the Castle, especially the King and Queen of the Ring coming Memorial weekend to the usual AEW weekends? They're not really booking it based on that. They're booking on when they think people will be able to sit down and watch TV on a weekend. It just happens to be roughly the same times. Venom says, I hope Cody wins at Mania, but it's got to be asked what happens if Roman wins. Where do they go from there? Nowhere. They go nowhere from there. Joey says, if Roman drops the titles at Mania, who would he face at Backlash? He wouldn't. He'd take a break. Leuven says, Roman has literally beaten everyone except Cody. Literally everyone. Hector says, if you are Gunter, would you take a potential opportunity to be the face of NXT Europe or stay in the States and continue to make his name on the main roster? 100% stay on the main roster. NXT Europe will do nothing for his name now compared to what is already happening for it. Counterfeit says, Roman is going to win. Did you see the report they want a triple threat match between Roman, Cody and Seth? No, because to my knowledge, that was never going to happen and is still never going to happen, and Roman is not going to win. Rizal says, I'm so done with Bray. Why ruin Brock and Bobby's story? Just get him on the card and have a bad match. Should have just left him off, in my opinion. Then why would they have brought him back? Code says, do you think it was a bad idea to give Bray some creative control if the story seemed too complicated with it going nowhere? It depends. This is basically what they're after, let's be fair. Sean says, Roman hasn't beaten Randy Orton. He can't. Randy Orton is injured and will not be there. We have to remember that. Randy Orton is injured and will not be available to be beaten for a while yet. Next up, there is unfinished business between Jey Uso and Roman Reigns, and I mean unfinished business, meaning that this one may be one that we see going past WrestleMania. I personally think Jey will be the one to disintegrate the Bloodline, and we will see our first teases of that tonight. Now, Jey Uso is a heel. He has turned on Sami Zayn, but there is a reason for that. He is protecting Jimmy Uso, as will be made clear during tonight's SmackDown. There is unfinished business between Jey and Roman, and when the Bloodline is destroyed, the final blow will be from Jey Uso to Roman Reigns. My expectation is that SummerSlam is the perfect time for Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns. Oh, Joey says Uncle Howdy's name could soon be Uncle Saudi. I hate it, but I hate everything Saudi Arabia related. Backwards says, any idea what Mania 40 main event will be? It will definitely be something involving the top names currently competing for this year's WrestleMania. I would definitely say Cody is likely to be in it, but outside of that, it will be someone new who is being built. I wouldn't be too surprised if it's something like Cody Rhodes versus Austin Theory, for example. I personally think it will be Cody Rhodes versus Gunter. That is personally where I would go. Venom says, any update on CM Punk? There is no update to give on CM Punk. Ken, Peyton Royce is pregnant now. Oh, hang on. No, she's not. Yeah. Thank you, Simon. She's no longer pregnant. She did give birth a couple of months ago. Thank you for the reminder. I appreciate that, Simon. Peyton Royce is not currently pregnant. And as I say, there has been contact. John says, how can Sami and Roman in Montreal not get 5 stars from Meltzer? But the trash dumpster fire Moxley and Hangman can. Different people like different things. Ultimately, the 5-star concept is Dave Meltzer's opinion. So Dave Meltzer liked one more than the other. So that's how. Leuven's wants a Rock cameo for the Bloodline. I don't think it's going to happen. Also says, I really hope Sami doesn't team up with KO. He's such an arsehole. Kevin Owens has turned on a lot of people. He absolutely has. Michael says, Roman and The Rock will main event Mania 40. Only kidding. Yeah, but we're going to hear about that, aren't we? In around September, October, November time, Dave Meltzer will say, oh, The Rock's coming back this year. You know he will. Joey says, do you see Solo Sikoa going after the Universal title after Mania? Possibly, but he'll have to go against Cody. Trashcan says, do you think Vince wanting Brock and Omos hurt the Bray storyline? I cannot sit here and say that Vince wanted Brock and Omos. I know a lot of people have attributed it to Vince, and certainly Vince McMahon is making suggestions, but there is no evidence that this particular storyline was his. Kelly says, Tom, will Solo betray Roman? No. Code says, once Cody wins, where does his babyface gimmick go without getting repetitive, as he would have finished his story, which has been what it's been focused on. Once he wins the championship, it should go in a direction of new competitors, new personality, and new opportunities, which is why I think Gunter is an obvious choice. Sean suggests the main event of WrestleMania 40 could be Cody versus Bron Breakker. Thomas says, do you see them splitting the championship belts, and if so, when do you think they will do it? Yes, the draft, right after Mania. Venom says, why does Solo refuse to talk? He ignored Paul Heyman and Raw and wouldn't talk to him. He doesn't refuse to talk. The gimmick involves him not talking. He is a silent enforcer. That's kind of the whole bit. Christoph says, do you think Roman and Jay could have a feud as big as the first one? How about a feud between Roman and Solo somewhere this year? Once again, the storyline is between Jay Uso and Roman Reigns. Leuven says, Tom, what do you think about Paige versus Mercedes at Forbidden Door? I mean, if it happens, obviously it's something that both women really, really want, as much as a palate cleanser, and kind of an apology for the blame that Sasha Banks got. Paige has always felt a little bit guilty for that. Joey says, can't really blame Sarai for not getting over. They gave her a stereotype Japanese schoolgirl gimmick, and the change to 2.0 didn't benefit her either. They're not annoyed at her not getting over. They didn't give her the opportunity to get over. They were annoyed at a number of different things, including, for example, that she wasn't able to call matches in the ring because she didn't learn English as quickly as they would have liked. Trashcan says, I would do Cody versus Gunter at SummerSlam, then Gunter takes the title to Mania. So Gunter versus Roman? Christian says, what do you think the Cinnamon Toast Crunch match will be about at Mania? No idea. I've heard this rumoured. Nothing so far has been confirmed. Anthony says, Tom, who do you think the wrestler that asked Mick Foley to induct him in the Hall of Fame to me? Makes sense that it's just incredible from ECW. I don't know. I'd imagine, to be honest, it'd probably be The Rock. Simon wants Roman to retain. He will not be doing so. Jonathan says, if, and I mean if, Kenny Omega comes to WWE at the end of this year or early next year, no doubt in my mind we will see Cody versus Omega at Mania 40. Can I just put some doubt in your mind? Cody versus Jay White. Razal says, Taya Valkyrie is a free agent. Is WWE interested in her? Not as much as a lot of people are thinking. Blue says, is the plan to still do 8 to 10 PLEs this year with the confirmed shows, SummerSlam and the second Saudi show? We have 9 we know are coming. That would leave one show between August 5th and the usual November Saudi date. Yes, it would. That is still very much the plan. They've been cutting them down for a little while and they're happy with where they are right now. Carmelina says, if Jay and Roman fight, do you see Jay picking up the win? Once Roman is no longer champion, yes, I do. Venom says, how soon do you see titles being separated? After Mania, before or after Backlash? Before. Tillman Jefferson, welcome. Says, will there be 2 new members of the Bloodline? Nope. In fact, there'll be less members of the Bloodline going forwards. Ken says, if the Iconics return to WWE, they won't be as good as they were in Impact Wrestling. That depends entirely on their booking. Joey says, who are your favourites to win King and Queen of the Ring? I don't have favourites, I just have opinions. Liv Morgan for me on the women's side. On the men's side, personally, I think there's some good shouts. A lot of good options. I would go Damian Priest. Sean says, since we're seeing Johnny and Dexter together on Raw, is that a possible tag team? Yes. One of them may be showing the other one the way. Spider-Boss says, could Tony turn into a Super Cena type after winning the world title at WrestleMania? Yes. Thomas says, who do you see holding the other title when they split the Universal Championship? Probably Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, someone of that level or distinction. Jones said, if there is a Royal Rumble cameo, if that Royal Rumble cameo is anything to go by, Cody versus Gunter would be a great feud. Venom says, do you think Sasha comes back this year? No. Simon says, I think the person Mick Foley will induct is Al Snow. Interesting. Clyde says, caught you live already. Smash the like button. Recommending all to do the same. Hope your weekend goes well, Tom, along with everyone in the chat. Thank you, Clyde. I appreciate that. Eric says, imagine King Solo and Queen Cora. Venom says, after the Jey Uso feud, will Roman turn face? No. Isaac Fernandez says, Queen Sonya Deville will be amazing promo-wise. That's a very good shout. I like where you're going with that. Simon says the Hall of Fame is in 3 weeks. No Hall of Famers or inductees announced yet. Going to be an awesome show. According to WrestleVotes earlier on today, the Hall of Fame will start their announcements today. Tonight on SmackDown, we will get our first announcement of the Hall of Fame inductees, according to WrestleVotes, or at least an announcement that the actual Hall of Fame is still going. PWInsider have reported that the Great Muta will be one of those people. Code says Asuka's new in-ring character has been quite disappointing in my opinion. She's been getting kind of dominated in matches against Carmella. She should be destroying like NXT Asuka. I hear a lot of people say this person should be destroying, but I think there's a recency bias there. Asuka never was a destroyer. Asuka was always this close to losing the championship in NXT. She didn't just go through people. She had strong, competitive matches with everyone. There is a revisionist history if you think she just demolished everybody. It did not happen. Anthony says, Tom, can you see Bron Breakker debuting on the main roster after WrestleMania with the NXT title? No, I see him debuting without the NXT title. Christian says, speaking of Mick Foley inducting someone at the Hall of Fame, what would be the chances he'd induct Cactus, Jack, Mankind and Dude Love? If that could even work somehow. That is not the plan. That is not going to happen. Spider-Boss says, after years, I never got the Super Cena type of booking. It's just a way to push someone in a way that makes them strong. Trashcan says, what do you think about Jordan Devlin joining Judgment Day? I don't want it. Steve Anglin says, do you think there's a plan to get a mid-card title on Damian Priest at Backlash for the Home Nation pop? No. Thomas Phipps says, could you see them having Finn holding it? By holding it, do you mean the King of the Ring? King Finn? King Balor? King Balor, I could see. That works. Edward says, do you think WWE heading out of WrestleMania will stop the long title reigns? No. Venom says, do you think Bray will get the Universal title? No. Anthony says, Tom, is there any updates on when they expect to debut NXT Europe this year? Yes. Later in the year, the fall time. Leuven says, King Carmelo has a better ring, if you ask me. Thomas says, could do a tournament, have Seth versus Finn in the final, or have Gunter losing the IC title, then have him win the tournament for the vacant title. Could have a number of different things happen. Certainly, I think Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre in the final will be a lot of fun as well. Keyshawn says, any idea on what's next for Wardlow and Hobbs? Not the slightest of clues. Ed says, isn't Sonya unlikely to be in Saudi due to their LGBTQIA plus viewpoint? Saudi's viewpoint, not WWE's. It is very unlikely. She is open with her sexuality. They do not like that. They really don't. Razar says, King Balor sounds good to me. Goes from a prince to king. Absolutely. Absolutely. Simon, that's true. But Sonya was told to tone certain things down. Under Triple H, there is going to be less force involved in this way to try and ensure that people only go to Saudi Arabia if they want to. Essentially, he's going to be more willing to take no for an answer. Venom says, it would love for Finn Balor to finally reclaim the title he never lost. Do you think he gets the Universal title? Not anymore, no. Clyde says, we'll be in attendance at Raw on April 17th in Little Rock. Hope Jay White has made or makes his debut in the WWE by then. Steve says, have you ever seen the movie Beyond the Mat? If so, what were your thoughts of it? I have not, actually, but I have watched Secrets of Wrestling Exposed, which was quite fun. The good old stunt granny. Joey says, do you know where NXT Euro's first show could be? No, and neither do the WWE. You're asking way ahead of time there. Simon's picks for King and Queen of the Ring are Bron Breakker and Liv Morgan. Not really a surprise to anyone. Isaac says, fingers crossed for an Australian pay-per-view soon. We haven't had anything since 2019. They are working on it. They are hoping to plan something in before the end of the year. Anthony says, Tom, I'm predicting the King of the Ring being one of those elite amateur wrestlers that are on the roster or on NXT. Maybe a Julia Creed, though. So what you're saying is Gable Steveson. Gable Steveson. Sean says, Queen, Bliss, and King Ricochet. Venom says, I feel under Triple H, Finn has got more chance of getting the Universal title. I agree. He has more chance. I still don't see it happening. Leuven says, technically Finn lost in a Universal title match on Raw to Roman Reigns some years ago. It was to try and underline that and make people stop asking for it. Spider-Boss says, I see Roman winning back the world title in late 2023. I don't think that's impossible. Roman versus Gunter as a main event would also be a lot of fun. Anthony says, Tom, do you think fans are overreacting when they saw that Vince was back in creative, thinking he was going to take full control? Vince is not back in creative. He does have full control, just not creative control. He can at any point step in and say, here's a creative storyline, but he hasn't done so. I don't think fans are overreacting in being nervous about it, but I do think fans are overreacting with the whole the sky is falling stuff. Trashcam, we've been talking about who wins King or Queen of the Ring for about 20 minutes now. Dad says, where's Miro? Nobody's seen him since last year. Creative hiatus. They don't know what to do with him, and what they do pitch, he's not interested in. Venom says, what do you think some of the Raw After Mania shockers could be? Jay White. Tillman says, will Kenny Omega come to the WWE? It's possible. There are conversations ongoing, the WWE interested, but they cannot talk directly to members of the Elite, or in fact Kenny Omega as a member of the Elite at this point in time, because they are still under AEW contract. Leuven says, ironic Roman is also the reason I came back after stopping watching because of Finn losing to him. Spider-Boss says, does Andrade still want to leave AEW? To my knowledge, yes, he does. Joey says, what is the plan for Baron Corbin? Is he going to go on another losing streak and disappear from TV again? They're currently trying to work out a new plan for Baron Corbin. They've nixed the old one. He'll not be on the WrestleMania card. Code says, it's going to be very weird to see Roman without titles after Mania. I agree. Simon says, do you see Liv Morgan back-to-back Money in the Bank? No. Steve says, I heard Gable Steveson is looking to compete in the 2024 Olympics, delaying his full-time debut. Do you think his brother Damon Kemp gets a name change or light push to cover any plans for that? No, there are no plans for Gable Steveson. They've abandoned any and all plans for Gable Steveson. Nobody else will be covering for him. Hogan hopes they keep the championships unified. Christoph says, Queen Liv will be cool for me, of course, but to be honest, maybe they should go with someone less established. Raquel sounds a good option. After all, Liv Morgan has recently been a women's champion, so maybe it is time for someone else to get a bit of a push. Venom says, do you think Ciampa returns and we get DIY winning the tag titles? Joey says, I don't mean to sound negative when asking this, but I remember you mentioned before Hit Row don't have any creative plans right now. What other wrestlers could be on that list? I'm currently still asking questions on that. Thank you, Venom. Thank you, Joey, for letting me know having a bit of a lag issue still. Isaac says, Mustafa Ali's new gimmick looks fun. Hope this time it sticks for him. And Tillman says, will Roman keep at least one title? No. Spider-Boss says, I hope to see Pat McAfee back on SmackDown. One day you will. And Code says, after the pop LA Knight got last week, has to be an LA Knight Money in the Bank winner. Feel a UK crowd would have a huge pop. Rizar, I think they're splitting the tag titles. They have more than enough tag teams to do that now. I am going to wrap up there. We've been going for an hour, and we of course still have the SmackDown watch party, which will be live in just over 2 hours. We will be back again with our daily wrestling rumours, with our spoiler warning on Mondays and Fridays, and our Q&A shows on Wednesdays now as well. Plus, I've been given a lot to think about when it comes to videos to post from you guys. That is certainly something I'll be looking into. In the meantime, though, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone. I will see you all very, very soon for the SmackDown Watch Party. Till then, I've been Tom Colohue. You've been fantastic. And I'll see you all very soon.